Hi, welcome to this video on long exposures. I'll be covering everything from the location planning, the equipment required, on-location image capture, and also post-process editing. You may already have a location in mind. I'm a big fan of using Google Earth, taking into account the weather conditions, the location of the sun, and also the sea conditions. This location that you can see on screen gave me the ideal dunes and leading lines from the estuary. Given that the sun was always going to be to one side, I knew that the clouds would be coming in from the west, so I would be able to take shots into and across the cloud movement. And on this image we can clearly see sea breaks, so we can utilise those features knowing that the weather is coming primarily from the west and these are west facing. Okay, so let's talk about equipment that's required. One of the things you will need is a camera with a bulb capability so that you can leave the shutter open as long as the desired time. Secondly, you're going to need a really sturdy tripod. If you're going to hold a camera steady for this length of time, the only way is to have a super steady base on which to mount the camera. And thirdly, you need some ND filters. I use ND64 and ND1000. I also use those in combination, and also occasionally we'll use them in combination with a polarizing filter. Once on location, it's critical to scope out the scene. Move about the scene, observe the movement of the waves, observe the movement of the clouds, the location of the sun and the wind, any spray. This scoping out of the scene will enable you to visualize what the final image will look like. Once we've selected our scene, the important thing is to take an initial image to get our exposure setting as shown above. This initial image was captured at 1/400th of a second at f8 using one of the many exposure calculation apps. This resulted in an ND1000 filter being applied, exposure time of 63 seconds. I use an app called ExpoCalc, which is particularly useful and it's free on the App Store. Now that we have all the principles established for capturing the image, let's take a look at the post-processing and how this image was edited. Remember to stick around for the gallery of images at the end of this video, and also remember to like and subscribe to the channel to help support it. Here's the original image that I captured on the day. This was captured just after sunset, and one thing you'll notice about this edit is once you have the original image in a format that you want, the amount of editing required is actually minimal. Therefore, I won't require any masks, so let's close that. I will initially change the profile to Adobe Landscape. It's a little bit dark as well, so I will up the exposure a little bit just to bring out a little bit of clarity. You can see the histogram at the top just moving across to the right, which is essentially what I want. I will also increase the contrast very slightly, just not too much. That should be about right, just to give it a little bit more colour and depth to the image itself. Now what I'm going to do, I don't really want to change too much because I think that the actual image setting is pretty good in the way that it is captured everything. The milkiness of the water, the sky just after sunset. So let's bring up the clarity so that we get a little bit more detail in the clouds and the rocks themselves. That's perfect. And let's just bring down the haze just to give that more glossy, glassy effect. I'm quite liking what that is now doing to the water. So let's just, let's just bring that down a little bit. That's fine. Now what I want to do is just enrich those colours. So let's bring up the vibrance. We can see now that it's really bringing the colours up. Let's bring that up quite a bit. I quite like, a bit too much maybe. Let's bring it up to there and just saturate those final colours that we've got there. And that is our image. Let's just crop that now. I'm a big fan of 16:9, just in case you guys hadn't figured that out. I particularly like that. We could make the horizon right. We can see that it's not quite level, so let's just try doing the auto on that, and that's perfect. We constrain it to the image to make sure we don't get any cropping on that, and there we go. That we could crop that now. We could include a little bit more sky, but we don't want to crop out the rocks. We could include a little bit more rocks and have the horizon in the middle. So cropping would be a preference. I'm just going to go here with it slightly above the third so that we don't have too much sky, but we've got all of the rocks and the glaze of the sea. And here's our final image edited in Lightroom, done just using the basic capabilities. If you want to see more details on editing in Lightroom, please check out some of my other videos. So please now stick around for the gallery. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that you found this extremely useful. And if you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon.